Today we're catching up a little bit. Ontario Airport, I know you were out at a LAWA meeting at LAX yesterday.
Correct.
And then you also had PMI, and also we'll talk about the lawyer from BBK.
Right, yeah, there were a few items that appeared in today's edition, and yesterday, like you mentioned, I was at the Los Angeles World Airports Board of Airport Commissioners meeting. They have them monthly. This month, they focused on a study that they conducted to look at management options for Ontario Airport. And this was particularly interesting because for the past couple months now, the City of Ontario has been vying to obtain control of the airport in one way or another. So they've talked about controlling it outright. They've talked about other options. So it's been pretty vague, just the fact that the City of Ontario essentially wants their airport back. It's been operated and managed by the City of Los Angeles since 1967. And so, what the City of LA is now saying is they might be amenable to ceding control. They will not, though, sell the airport. That's at least what Mayor Villaraigosa's office is saying, is that is off the table.
Well, I also heard that the one big takeaway that you had was the fact that the board, the directors, didn't actually quite understand how much of a loss in passenger traffic Ontario's had. You said it came almost as a shock to them.
Well, it's pretty interesting, and I didn't get into it in the story too much, but it was a takeaway that I noticed from the meeting itself, is that these Board of Airport Commissioners, which are all made up of LA denizens, residents, they're movers and shakers in the city of LA, were almost shocked and surprised by the steep passenger losses that have been occurring at Ontario Airport. And granted, it isn't the first they've heard of it, but they did seem noticeably surprised and shocked and were wondering what kind of methods have been taking place or what kind of options had been looked at. They even suggested, well, why don't we close another terminal? Well, that's easier said than done, and that would cause this massive ripple effect, I think, in the city of Ontario if there were to be an entire terminal closed. So different things like that. It just seemed like they were a little surprised by what had been going on, even though it's been going on for about 3 years now.
I think out of touch is the better word to describe that. If you don't know what's going on and you're on a board of something, that you don't know what's going on at one of the properties of that something you're on the board of, I'm going to have to say that you're out of touch. So obviously that just kind of speaks for the overall picture as to how Ontario's being, if you ask me.
And that's your characterization, right?
Yes, exactly. Personally, my opinion. But okay, moving forward. So with PMI, it went up after we took kind of a deep dip last month. We got down to about just over 50, and now we're back up to 51.9, which is a little bit of a dip from last year. I think about 1.7% down. But it still looks pretty good. It's going in the right direction again.
Exactly, and it is a closely watched barometer for the economy here in the Inland Empire. So yeah, like you said, it rose to 51.9 in July from 50.2 in the previous month. So whenever it's above 50, that level suggests that the factory sector is expanding. So always a good sign. And I think that it has been above 50 for 10 consecutive months.
It was the 10th consecutive month.
So that's a good sign. Whenever we see a dip, it's a little bit of a worry. So it was good to see it go up in July.
Always on the positive. And then finally, my favorite, everybody's seen the whole happenings down in the city of Bell with their city attorney and their city manager and their mayor and the council people and now their city attorney.
Well, just to sum it up a smidge too, yeah, their city manager and their city council were getting paid quite a bit of money to run and oversee the city of Bell, which is, I think, the poorest city in LA County.
And it only about a mile and a half in diameter or something like that?
Correct. It's a very small community and very poor community. And so they were being paid outrageous amounts because they're a charter community, and essentially they were allowed to do so. But they're looking into the legalities of this right now.
Right.
Interestingly enough, and if you want to continue, Dave.
Well, the Best and Krieger, which has a firm in Riverside, and they're all throughout Southern California. One of their, he was a, what did I say earlier?
He was the city attorney of Bell and then also of Downey, which is interesting.
And he joined them in 2006 and became a partner. And now he's just resigned from Best and Krieger to stick with the city of Bell, which kind of says a lot for the guy. At least he's trying to stick with a bad situation. But they kind of seem to be distancing themselves from him. Yeah, and the bad publicity that goes along with it.
There was an official statement that came out from BB&K yesterday from Eric Gardner, who's the managing partner over there, laying out what was going to happen and that he was going to be staying with Bell and so forth. But definitely in between the lines, it does seem like BB&K is distancing themselves at this point because their name kept being brought up in this whole circumstance. It's been making all of the news rounds, what's been going on in Bell. And the city of Downey, I think, actually fired or dismissed or did something getting rid of Ed Lee, who was the lawyer for them as well. So now he is apparently just the city attorney for Bell. I'm not sure if he's city attorney for any other cities, but BB&K still is the city attorney for quite a few other inland cities as well as other Southern California cities.
Which the one point that was really interesting, my wife and I were talking, was I didn't know that I thought city attorneys were hired by the city, and now they're, I guess in a sense, they're contracted by the city and sometimes go through a law firm, which we were like, what? How does that work? Because I thought they were sole, they basically were fiduciary responsibility was sold to the city, and it didn't seem like that's the case all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of circumstances, too, where in this case as well with Lee, they serve multiple cities. Right. So, yeah, not just one.